This episode of Gabba Gabba Hunt Talks is sponsored by Hobo Wolfman Records. In addition to being the home of the fill-ins, Home for the Day, and the Body Bags, all North Carolina bands, he also has a bunch of other shit on his website. A lot of it you don't really need, but it's cool as hell anyway, so you should buy some of it. It honestly never really surprises me the stuff that he throws up there from time to time. HoboWolfmanRecords.com. You are now listening to the Gabba Gabba Hunt Talks podcast, where we bring you conversations with people connected to the Carolinas underground music scene. With your host, Mike Phillips of Van Huskins.
There he is.
Hey, yeah.
How's it going, man?
Pretty good. How you doing?
Pretty good, man. I haven't used Skype in a while, so been doing everything Zoom.
Yeah. We could have used Zoom. The last time I tried to use it, I was having so many issues with it, but I think it was on the other person's end.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of what I usually use. But Skype is fine. You know, it works out really well.
Yeah. Overall, I've had the best luck with Skype.
I mean, we can see you very well.
Yeah.
I hope you see us all pretty. You got all of us in here?
Yep. Well, there we go. I see everybody now. But so how you guys been doing?
Good.
Not too bad, man. How about you?
Doing very well.
Doing well. So you guys, I see you recently played a show Halloween night.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. How was turnout for that?
It was actually a good turnout. I was really surprised, actually. The good thing too is everybody was really respectful of the bar and respectful of what was going on, because a lot of the locals there care about that place and they want to keep it open.
Yeah.
So pretty good about being distanced and wearing masks. Like, you people outside still were wearing masks, and we had a nice little semicircle, people kind of socially distanced around us, and everybody seemed to have a great time. Everybody was really good about taking care of the bartenders, taking care of us, and everybody was very happy to see a show, that's for sure.
Yeah. I know I miss going to shows. I miss playing shows. Yeah. But we're going to hold off for right now. There's not really too many great opportunities to do things around here right now anyway.
This was mostly an outdoor show anyway. In fact, it was an outdoor show, so that's kind of why it was able to happen like it did.
Yeah, I watched some of it that night on Facebook. You live streamed it.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess before we get too far, I'm talking to Blood Red River, and you guys are a band out of Durham, North Carolina, correct?
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I guess I want to kind of get you to just go around first of all and introduce yourself, what you do in the band, and then that way people can kind of put a voice with the name of what you do in the band. And you can start wherever you want to.
Left to right.
I'm Chris. I play bass and sing.
I'm Alan. I play guitar.
Okay.
I'm Rob. I play the drums.
Yep.
And I'm Brad. I play guitar and backup vocals.
Cool. All right. So how long have you guys been together? I think since like 2005, I think I read.
We played our first show in 2006, so we started in 2005.
We started crashing in 2004. Maybe even 2003.
But that was
Trouble Corner.
But that was before me or Dave were ever playing.
You started at the music store, and that was
that was
2005.
Yeah, you left there in 2005, and because we started practicing at your friend's place behind his house.
Jenny was still playing us when we played at the store.
Yeah, and then she left, and we played our first show. We played our first show February 27th, 2006 at Local 506.
I'm looking for the flyer.
Okay.
That's all there, actually. So yeah, we almost 16 years, and we have put out a CD.
What bands did you play with that day or that night?
We opened for 45 Grave for that show.
Okay.
And they were actually really super nice, really super cool. Gave us free T-shirts and all kinds of stuff. They were really nice. They were fun to play with.
Yeah.
And that was a good first show for us too. And I don't even think we had any songs with vocals at that time. I think we had one. I think Monkey Paw. That was about it, right?
Yeah, that was it.
And we was all instrumental when we first played our first few shows.
We were real sick.
Yeah.
Another band I was in, the main band I was in at the time, played Washington D.C. the day before.
Okay.
Everybody got real sick in the band, so everybody, even me and the drummer, were in the same band. We're in Blood Red River. So we were sick that night. But it turned out good, though. They let us do it. They let us open for them again.
Yeah, we played with them twice, yeah.
Yeah.
But that was the start. Then after that, we just started slowly picking up more shows. We started doing just mainly live shows a lot, and just gone from there.
Yeah. So you said you've never put out a CD yet, but you're getting ready to put out something, right?
We got an EP recorded, 6-song EP recorded, and we're right now getting the money together to print, press, and actually have a physical copy. We're hoping to have a physical copy with a download code, so you can have the physical copy and you can also download.
Yeah.
And because people go both ways, some people still do want a physical copy, and some people just do downloads now. So we kind of want to both.
Yeah, that's pretty much the way to do it. So, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in a little while. But so you guys started in around 2005, played your first show in 2006. Have you been a band steadily since then, or have there been any like down periods?
Definitely just been rolling forward ever since we started playing, and it's good too because we never had any real delusions of grandeur of like becoming huge, touring rock stars and this and that. The other is mainly for fun, mainly for like putting on a good show, make sure everybody has a good time, and word of mouth and everything go from there. So
that's the way you do it anyway, especially once you've played in as many bands as we've all played in and been around the scene as that long. You realize, your days of even having that chance of making it big are probably far past you. So
your dreams start to slowly die after several years.
Well, it depends on how you measure success.
The rainbow starts to crumble a little bit over the years. It starts to sparkle away. The gray starts to pour in. The sidewall cracks start to show.
But when you do it that way and you kind of realize that you're just going to play what you want to play and do the things you want to do, that's when the best stuff comes out anyway. You don't have to follow a trend or feel like you've got to stay in one area or one genre or whatever. You can do whatever you want to and have a lot of fun with it.
And you're not relying on it for a sole source of income either. So.
Exactly, yeah.
Any source of income.
And that is one good thing about our band as well, is we kind of slither our way through different genres. Mm-hmm. We can pair it with a punk band. We can pair it with a rockabilly band.
Oh yeah.
We can pair it with an instrumental band, a surf band. We play with metal bands. We played with like every kind of genre pretty much you can think of. And it worked. That's been pretty good for us, and we like doing that. Like not being we just have this one corner of music we function in. Like we can spread out, play with lots of different kinds of bands and genres and things like that, and it always winds up being fun.
That comes from being part of, coming from a scene, I guess, like a punk rock scene, where you're just not like, not strangers to anybody. Yeah, automatic, a built-in crowd.
You guys have all played in bands for many, many years. We kind of touched on that already, but I kind of want to go around the room, and we'll get back to talking about Blood Red River in a little bit too. But we'll sort of talk with like how you got started, like interested in music, and then like what made you start playing an instrument. I guess we'll start with you, Chris. So what was it that drew you into music as a kid that first kind of grabbed a hold of you and said, this is something I want to be more involved in life?
Growing up, I listened. My parents were big in the country and stuff like that. And once I got into high school and I started skateboarding, I kind of rebelled against that, and I started just listening to much punk rock as I could. I got into a lot. Most of the bands I got into in high school were like a lot of Lookout Records bands.
Yeah.
A lot of like early mid '90s Lookout Records bands like Vindictives, the Queers, old Green Day, stuff like that, and then also branched out into Epitaph Records and stuff, their kind of thing, and then Descendants and things. I listened to a lot of that and did a lot of skateboarding in high school. So that's what I gravitated towards. And then after high school, I was still hoping to continue skateboarding, and then had knee surgery. The original drummer, Dave, who is a best friend of mine, he started learning how to play drums at a teen center.
Okay.
And I wanted to play in a band with him, so I started learning how to play a bass guitar. So we started playing together, and then that's how we started to form our first punk rock band, which was Psycho 13. Years later, Dave actually came on to be our first original drummer for Blood Red River. But that's pretty much how I got into playing music and stuff. And what I mostly leaned towards punk rock growing up through high school. And then as I started playing music, started opening myself up to more genres and starting to be more open-minded and listening to more things down the line. And now I listen to a little bit of everything.
Oh, yeah.
So, and as you grow older, you become, more open-minded, hopefully, as well, to other different kinds of music and genres as well.
Yeah, punk to get you into everything else.
Exactly.
It's a gateway.
It is. It really is. I mean, you can go from punk so easily into a lot because it's influenced by so many different things. So
it has a hyphenation for everything.
It kind of makes it easier to even get into like country music in a way. Of course, like you said, you kind of grew up around country music, and I did to a certain extent as well. So you kind of gravitate back towards at an older age when I hated it as a teenager.
Yeah, I did the same thing. Yep. So, who else? Who's next?
So, Alan, you want to go next?
Okay. Well, when I was a teen, I heard Cheap Trick.
Okay. One of my favorite bands.
Yep. My bands at the time, that I fixated on the Doors and Cheap Trick, and then I heard the Ramones. Cheap Trick was what got me, so I could play.
Okay.
So I wanted the guitar just like he had and all that kind of stuff, But then I heard the Ramones, and then I really started playing, and everything changed. Not just music, like your whole life changes when you hear something like that. It's like the Beatles of my generation. Mm-hmm. That's what it's been ever since. And same with Chris. Got me into pretty much every single other thing.
Yeah.
Here we are.
So about how old were you when you started playing an instrument?
17, maybe.
17. Your first band around the same time or shortly thereafter?
I got a guitar. My brother got a guitar, and then he kind of lost interest, I guess, and he pawned the guitar, and we went and got the guitar back out of the pawn shop. And I've played it ever since then. So
yeah. What was the first band that you had? About what time was that?
Well, the first band I actually started playing shows with, we had a band called Neverland.
Okay.
A local dude here who pretty much got me into the entire music, everything, my job and everything. I owe to this guy. We started playing, like, that was 89, 90. We played a bunch of shows, and you know how that goes. And one thing after another, and then the band kind of fades out.
Yeah.
For the next one. Then the next one was called the Antagonizers in Durham. That was the one I started playing the most shows with.
Okay.
Kill me.
That's where I ran into everybody else.
Yeah. So are you from the Durham area? And I didn't think to ask you, Chris, like, are you from that area, or do you grow up somewhere else?
I grew up in Hillsboro. Yeah,
Okay.
I grew up in Hillsboro, but through high school, I started hanging out in Chapel Hill on Franklin Street.
Yeah.
And that's how I made a lot of friends, got to a lot of stuff. And then after high school, moved to Chapel Hill, lived there for 10 years, and I moved to Durham in 2005. And I've lived here ever since.
Yeah. And Alan, are you always from that area?
No, I grew up in San Antonio, Texas.
Okay.
Because I've been here more than I always said. That's where I spent most of my life, but not anymore. I left there in '88, so
Okay.
I've been here. I've been there.
Yeah.
That's where my formative years were.
So Robert, I guess same question to you. What was it that drew you into music?
Yeah, actually, it was my brother. He was a little bit old. He was 8 years older than me. So he, by the time he was in his teens, I was 8, give or take, and he would bring home stuff that he would bring home was the old Aerosmith, Black Sabbath.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, I'm trying. Kiss was another big one.
Yeah.
So made it so. I just remember air drumming to Kiss Alive, the first one, Forever and a Day, with headphones on, on a record player.
Yeah.
And eventually moved out to some trash cans and boxes and
Spoons.
yeah, and whatever else. Trash can lids when they made metal ones. This was back obviously in the '70s, late '70s. So
Playing in the house with trash can. Like
No, not playing in the house.
I forgot Kiss too. That's the first record I ever bought was Dress to Kill.
Well, yeah, that's a good one
I was
too.
like 8 years old. I stayed with like $2.95 was that cost.
Yeah, I forget. I don't know. Like I said, my older brother bought all that stuff, so he was bringing it home, so it was kind of cool. And he was nice enough to share it with me, so that was kind of cool. And the record collection ended up being mine, and there's a story about how it got recollected later on, not in a good way. It kind of got repoed. Yeah, he became very Christian and couldn't allow. He didn't feel good about giving me the records.
Oh wow.
So he took them all back to a burning, actually, which is a terrible thing. It was absolutely horrible, but I snuck some and kept some of the better ones, or tried to, or told them I didn't know anything about them. But
Yeah.
but yeah, and then it's teenage years. I had friends that had drum kits, and I would kind of play on them the best I could. And it wasn't until adult that I actually started playing, and
Okay.
yeah. And I guess the first band that I would have really done anything with was a band called Bicycle Thieves, and that would have been out of Chapel Hill.
Yeah, I remember that name.
And so that was it's not the famous one.
Yeah.
I sent the spelling on it. I think is it's not thieves, it's thiefs.
Okay,
THIES with the little umlauts over the e's.
That's great.
And that at the time this would have been mid '90s, I guess, mid to late '90s.
Yeah.
Pretty popular Chapel Hill band at the time. Played around the usual places, and that went on for a couple years. So that's kind of how that started for me.
Cool. And how about you, Brad? How did you get interested in music as a kid? And same question, basically.
That's tough, man. I honestly want to say, I think it was. Do you remember Power Records at all?
Yeah.
It was like a comic book, and it came with the record.
Yeah, I do remember that.
And you could read along with it and whatnot. I remember I got for a 4th or 5th birthday, I got a 12-inch. It was a Batman record.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember like being intrigued with the Batman theme song from the record. And I got into that, and then I never really got into music like hardcore till probably 12, 13.
Okay.
A friend of mine, when I was at military school, had played the Misfits for me.
Yeah.
And from then on, it was like, holy shit, this is awesome. And then, but everything seemed so far away.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, what was it, 89 or 90, I befriended Russ Ward from Anti-Scene.
Yeah.
Obviously, this was much prior to everything now, but
Yeah.
he had taken me to see Anti-Scene. I think a band called Brickbat was opening for them.
Yep, I remember that.
And that basically made me want more so to play, because it was very upfront, and it seemed very like attainable.
Yeah.
Not only that, I mean, Joe Young worked at Repo when they were on Central, and being able to go down and just pick his brain and basically hang out and, but none of those guys were ever like, too cool or,
Exactly.
But yeah, I think everything where it all started was probably Power Records, I think.
Okay. Now, you said you went to military school, but you were in Charlotte. Did you grow up in Charlotte, or did you grow up somewhere
I
else?
grew up in Charlotte. I was born, raised in Charlotte, went to military school in Camden, South Carolina for like 2 years.
Okay, yeah.
What was that, 86 through 88 or something like that, I think. So.
Yeah, and I talk about that a lot with Anti-Scene, about how they were always they were super cool. You talk to them, and they would talk to you like you were their friend,
Exactly.
And that was part of what drew me in when I met them and realized, hey, I can actually be in a band. And these guys they looked intimidating, but they weren't intimidating. They were nice as hell. If they'd have been any other way, I might have just been like, I don't want to have anything to do with this. But they were very instrumental in me getting into music as well, or getting into playing in the scene. So was your first band Failure?
My first band was kind of like Rob. It wasn't what everybody knows as Failure. It was just It was just me and Russ, for a lack of a better name. And I remember Russ knows or remembers, his memory I think tends to be a little bit sharper than mine as far as that was concerned. But it was kind of one of those things where me and him would go out to, when he lived with his folks, we'd go out to a shed, and he had borrowed like a drum set, a guitar amp, and he'd play drums, I'd play guitar. And then at some point, as I said before, we'd go down and hang out down at Repo every now and again and go talk with Joe Young. And somehow Russ convinced them to let us open up for them. And I think at that point it was just like, we need a band name. So, and of course me and him went back and forth on a bunch of stuff, I'm sure. And then finally settled on Failure. It just seemed like the right, if you had known us back then, you'd have been like, it's very fitting.
I do plan on getting Russ on pretty soon. I wanted to get Jeff on first, just to make sure, I had him first. And but I've already talked to Russ about doing it. It'll just probably be another couple of months or so, another month, sometime down the road.
That'll be a really good show.
So I guess we can talk a little bit more about some of the other bands you guys have been in. You sent me a list of bands, and it's like, there's a lot of bands. We could talk about each and every band, go step by step through what you guys have done. But I definitely want to talk about some of the high points, some of the bands that you were in that you feel it's worth talking about. I mean, they're probably all worth talking about. I don't really know where to start with that.
Yeah, that's a good question, actually.
That's right.
Yeah.
I guess it's, the first band that I was in, and we wound up being together for a good number of years, was Psycho 13, and that was me, a friend of mine named Dave, and another friend of mine named Adam, who wound up being in a band called Dirty Politicians that got a little bit of popularity in the state, and things like that. And we had a horror punk band. Yeah. And then, we were very, very, influenced band. I had a double lock. I had double lock. I had the spikes in the jacket. Lots of black. I used to work at Pirate City every year for Halloween, so I can decorate my house and just Halloween stuff. Yeah. I was fully into it. And we put out one 7-inch with a friend of ours who started a record label called Murder Mayhem Records. Put out one 7-inch with him. We split up, I think, around 2000. It's like 2001, I think, was when we finally split. Mm-hmm. Adam got really into Dirty Politicians, and actually the guitar player from Dirty Politicians started playing with us. But then everything just kind of fell apart. No ill will or anything like that, just naturally fell apart. And then I started playing with another Raleigh punk band called Two Fisted that was doing pretty. They were wound up being on Murder Mayhem Records as well. Okay. And that went pretty well. And then the guitar player and singer kind of fell out and stuff. And then I started years later. A friend of mine who was playing with the Louts, he started a country band and asked if I'd be interested in playing bass with them. So I was like, yeah, I want to do something different. I've been doing punk rock all my life. I want to try something different. So I started playing with him, and then we started Hearts and Daggers, which I came up with the name Hearts and Daggers, and then left that band and didn't play for a while until I was talking to Alan, and they were starting there's practicing in the music store, doing something new, and it was going to be more of like at first it was going to be more of a psych mod like kind of band, right? That y'all were going to do garage mod kind of stuff, Nuggets kind of stuff, and then I started coming in to play with that and jam with them, and then the guy who was going to be singing, he goes by Mod Nate, so he wound up dropping out, and the drummer wound up dropping out, so I got my old drummer Dave, who was my roommate at the time, to come in and start jamming with us, and then I started playing bass and singing, and then we just kind of came up with Blood Red River from there.
Okay.
So that's pretty much my whole band history.
Pretty quick and concise there, but it works.
Yeah. So. But I guess ask Alan what he's started with.
About that. In Texas, we had band stuff we never played out. Then I got here, and there's a local guy named Tim Bjork, super good guitar player. Mm-hmm. We were doing a band, and my brother introduced me to him, and he started playing in the band, and that was called Neverland.
Yeah.
We played we played like 30 shows over the course of a couple of years. Like every band, not every band, but we had like the drummer rotation, you know. That at the time I didn't think it was too punk rock or anything, but which is what I wanted to do. But I listen back to it now, and I'm like, dang, that stuff was awesome. Yeah. It was. And then after that, I played with a band called Dogtooth, which was pretty 90s. It was in 90s, and it was heavy, and it was awesome. That was really cool. We did a bunch of recording. Those guys had a recording studio, so we got a recording. So you can find that stuff online. Okay. And after that, I got into the Antagonizers, which was a punk rock kind of what we call street punk band. Mm-hmm. The singer in that band, he knows everybody. He's a guy that knows a bunch of people. He got us into a lot of places. Yeah. And we went to different cities and played New York, played in Boston, played New Jersey, played in Detroit and Cleveland, and almost got arrested in the Canadian border, and it was awesome. So I would say that's the band that I mostly got the step forward with as far as how to do it, you know.
Yeah. Where was that band located out of?
In Durham. It was in Durham.
Durham.
Now they're in Atlanta. Yeah. You'll see Antagonizers ATL. Because the Bodon, the singer, he moved to Atlanta and kept the band going down there. So they just put the ATL signifier on it to signify which version's which. They go to Europe. They're doing real good down there.
Yeah, I knew I recognized the name, and I think I do remember the Agonizers ATL because I think they opened up for somebody like.
They're for everybody. He's got the connections and
the Addict maybe.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And after that, played Blood Red River. We started Blood Red River like garage band, something different, you know. So everybody just doing the punk rock thing, which is good. But I wanted to do something just a little bit different, so that's what we got here. And at the time, I was still doing the Antagonizers at that time, and Dave, who was in Blood Red River, was also the Antagonizer drummer. Yeah. And it's kind of while all this is going on, this is all these bands are running at the same time. Yeah. I got into a band called Vanguard. It's like a boy band, like a step above, like not just your regular Illinois band. They were really good. They were really good. Yeah. Not because of me. Yeah, really good, but not so much.
Modest.
And you can take some of the credit.
After Antagonizers, after Vanguard, well, still with Blood Red River, I helped start a band called The Hell No.
Mm. Oh yeah.
With it was me and a girl named Brenna and a girl named Kim Thompson, super good drummer. We just played as a three-piece, kind of almost improvisational. That was really cool. And then after that, I know I'm forgetting something. There's so many things I'm forgetting. For 30 years now, every fall I've been meaning to start the legendary power pop band, but I never have. Next year, then maybe this year.
Yeah.
If not this year, maybe next year, or the year after that.
2021.
One of these years. I've been meaning to
is,
since 1985. But,
I think a lot of us have one of those projects that we keep saying we're going to start, and it never happens.
Oh, well, when it gets cool out, I hate the heat, so when it gets cool out, that's when I want to do stuff again. And I bust out my old '80s movies. And man, this is the year I'm going to do it, and it's going to be awesome. And I got cool songs, and then next thing you know, I'm just playing video games. And but that's about that for me. I know I'm forgetting something, and somebody's going to be mad at me for forgetting it, but I don't know what it was.
Well,
many.
If you think about it any time, we can go back and talk about it.
It'll come to me.
Yeah. So, Robert, you want to give us your rundown, I guess?
Oh, wow. Yeah, I probably have the least punk of all of it. In fact, there's probably no punk at all, to be honest. Bicycle Thieves were kind of grungy 90s, mid-90s kind of thing out of Chapel Hill. That's probably one where I traveled with a good most of the time. Pretty popular in Chapel Hill, obviously, but did some, around the state and up to Philadelphia. So and back down through DC and down through Myrtle Beach. But that was probably the best. I'm trying to find the best way to describe it. There's certain songs about like spanakopita and some kind of weird food stuff. Rock. It was kind of weird, but it's my career as it is spans some different genres as well. So I guess after that came a band called Rusty Trick, which was just straight up rock. The guy singing Dennis Kennedy sounded a lot like Bon Scott.
You said living's easy. Well, I don't know today. Your blue eyes just hypnotize me. Recognizing time is flying.
So that went on for a while, and there's no rhyme or reason, why bands break up. Timmy quit, Joey got married, that kind of thing.
Summer '69.
The summer of '69, that kind of stuff went. And then that was a lot of fun. We played the usual spots in Chapel Hill. Most of my stuff is around Chapel Hill at 506, Cat's Cradle. Back when Go was a place in Chapel Hill as well, and it's not. Sometimes we do that, and some places in Raleigh, early Poorhouse, Players Club. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of places that we could end up kind of doing. That's when it was. The music scene in the Triangle area was really pretty ripe.
Yeah.
But after Rusty Trick, I'm trying to remember them all. And if I forget anyone, there's no one gonna get mad at me about it. But but I'm trying to think. After Rusty Trick, there's breaks in between, and ended up with a band called Orchid Sun. That was kind of emo rock, and that was actually not too bad. We played pretty much the same places. We opened for a band called Person. Okay. That's probably the highlight of that, which was really good. And that was kind of British rock as well.
Yeah.
And then after that was a short stint, or that was a relatively short kind of stint. And then went to Buckshot Betty, which was actually they were kind of country. Mm-hmm. Which was that was kind of nifty and fun. That was a big band there. It was like 8 pieces, 7 or 8 pieces. It was a lot. Yeah, it was huge.
But it
was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. There were lots of really good talented musicians in there that really were really spot on. I may have gotten that order switched up. But let's see what else. Oh, after that, there's King Monsoon. That was actually straight up British rock, because the main guy that did the songwriting for that is from London.
Oh wow.
and so he writes in the style of like Oasis or Paul Weller, that type of stuff. So it was that was
We opened for them.
yeah, actually, yeah,
Yeah, we did.
yeah. While I was playing with King Monsoon, Blood Red River, we played the show together at Local 506. So that just goes to show you how versatile actually Blood Red River can be.
How it all comes together.
It worked very well. I thought it was a very good show. It was a lot of fun. I guess, and then after that, it was pretty much Blood Red River, because I had known Chris from work, and three of us at some point in time have worked together.
Oh yeah, we did, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. So I've worked with all these guys outside of the band at some point in time. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. The genre kind of spreads pretty broad and wide for me. I'm pretty much open to all kinds of odd, weird stuff. Like my practice playlist can be anything from like from the Ramones right up to Blue Man Group, and Royal Republic and stuff like that. So I mean, I try to span it out, because I feel like I can take it all and bring it to the table.
That's good.
And take pieces of it and try to introduce it. And that's what I try to do anyway. With the drumming, sometimes it doesn't work, and if it doesn't work, well, we just
That's how I listen to music.
find something else. Yeah, I mean I think that's the way it really kind of helps and expands and grows as a whole. So
I try to find my inspiration in a lot of different places. Like, I mean, I even kind of not stole a bass line, but took a bass line from a Bob Seger song and kind of reworked it, put it in a Van Husken song. So
Hell yeah.
yeah.
wherever you find it, you can use it somehow.
Right. I mean, it's all been done before. There's no reinventing the wheel here. You're just rearranging the spokes. So
I think the way that Rob started playing with us is me and him started working. I started working at a comic book store years back, and me and him wound up becoming friends through working at the comic book store together. And then he was still playing with King Monsoon, and I was like, well, we should do a show together. So we got them to play with us at 506, and then after that, he said, really like enjoyed us and stuff like that. And we were kind of toying with the idea at band practice one time of having a third guitar player.
Yeah.
So we're like, how would you like to come out and jam with us? Rob's like, yeah, sure. So he came out and jammed with us. And he's like, I don't know if I want to do third guitar, this, that. And I was like, all right, and I was like, and I still distinctly remember us sitting there, and we're bagging and boarding comics one day. And I'm like, and because our drummer we had at the time, he decided to move to Scotland, and which he's doing great out there. But I was sitting there bagging and boarding comics next to Rob. I was like, man, I wish you played drums. And he's like, yeah, I actually did play drums back in the 90s. I was like, you serious? Like, you want to play drums? So he came out and tried jam with us on drums, and it worked out great. So we're like, yes. So that wound up being a good fit for us. So and he's been with us since then. So
How long has it been now?
I think of them as seasons. This is my third season. This is my third season. I go by Halloween, because the first show that I had with these guys
Halloween.
I call it a season.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. But so Halloween comes around. I consider that a complete season for some reason.
So about 2018.
Yeah, give or take. Something. Yeah. But yeah, I think I don't know about these guys. You kind of at some point you split off and play maybe a different instrument. I don't know how you do it, Mike, but I mean, if one band is done and you kind of hook up with other people, they go, it was kind of like what Chris did. He goes, I sure wish you played the drums, and I'm like, well, as a matter of fact, I do. And it's the same thing happens with or at least that's the way it's happened with me anyway. It's been like, man, I wish someone played the bass or the guitar. And I'm like, well, actually I do.
Yeah.
And you just kind of fill into that role, and
That's how that works.
That's just how it works. Yeah.
If you have a bass, and the rest of the band finds out you have a bass, you're going to be the bass.
You're going to be the bass. You're right. Absolutely.
Watching us.
And so that's pretty much how my story goes. I mean, I think all these guys here, they pretty much stuck to, stay true to their chosen instrument and didn't really bounce around a lot. So.
I go to bass. I play bass. Play guitar.
Oh, that's right. You did play. We played bass with
everything, everybody up to Antagonizers.
Right. Yeah. So, then I'm not even good. It makes me feel better.
I've pretty much always been the bass player. I can play guitar. I just, I'll write stuff on guitar. I just don't really play guitar in a band. But I think I'm getting ready to try to learn to play drums. And Eric, my guitar player, he's wanting to do this little solo project. Can call it something completely different. So I might be playing drums on that. If I can learn to play well enough to play with him. We'll see.
Make it work. Make it part of the deal.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I like being a multi-instrument person, whatever. Yeah, it's kind of nice because especially with the drums, because even though I'm fortunate enough to live in a place where I don't necessarily have an issue with playing the drums, because they're loud and and all of that. I mean, it's kind of nice because I still have other instruments at my house that I can pick up and play on and kind of come up with certain things, and I still find it enjoyable and quite fulfilling. So
yeah, the only thing I worry about learning how to play drums is when people find out if I can play drums. Everybody's going to want me to play drums for their band. Everybody's always looking for a drummer.
Yeah, I think almost every drummer we've had was in more than one band.
Oh yeah,
at least.
Yeah.
It's tricky to find a drummer though. So if
It really is.
Yeah, because a lot of drummers, like you say, they already play in one band. So when they play in another band, a lot of times it's like, yeah, I'll play with you guys, but it's always the intention of just until you find another drummer.
Yep. We've been there.
Yeah. Well, that's not where I'm at though. So I feel pretty permanent, So until they kick me out or I explode in a green ball of flame or something.
Spinal Tap. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So Brad, let's talk a little bit more about you. So we talked about Failure and how you and Russ started that band, and I know you from the Furies. Band. I played in Popes on Dope at the time, and we played a handful of shows together, and we're at a bunch of other shows together. So I knew you from back then. Was there anything between Failure and the Furies?
I don't think so. I think we had done Failure, and Failure just kind of coalesced into that. The Furies seemed like a good idea at the time, but I don't know. I don't really look back on it as being like, and I think Russ had made comment in another interview about how we had kicked him out. The funny thing, I think, when Failure kind of disbanded, again, I think Russ's memory might be a little bit sharper than mine about it, but we did kick him out. I think there was certain elements involved that made me think a certain way about, Russ's place within Failure and whatnot. And it wasn't my decision necessarily. I think it was a collective decision. But the Furies was fun at the time, but looking back on it, it was kind of I'm trying to think of the best word. It was it couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
I feel like it was like a one-trick pony. I mean, that was like we wanted to be the Misfits.
Yeah.
We were the dark goth guys, or whatever you want to call it.
Good name.
Yeah.
I remember the shows that we had played with Popes on Dope, like at Heretics and whatnot, and having a good time and whatnot. But I think the Furies was just kind of that next step afterwards. Yeah. And then it kind of, I think, I wrote down the list the other day, but now I can't remember half of the list for whatever reason. But
do you? Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to ask. Do you have any music by the Furies? Is there anything that you guys recorded?
I probably do. I remember having a tape, but to be completely honest with you, if that tape is still around, I'd have to look. And if you want, I could see if it was a tape. Yeah, I could look and see if I can maybe find that. The Furies, it was a learning experience for me, I guess. And then shortly thereafter, that kind of fizzled out, and then did a band with the singer from Bloody Mary, Randy Robinson, and we had done Branded, and that was a little bit more where I wanted to go, where I thought the Furies should have been, and Branded kind of went and did that thing, and it was fun. We put out a tape. We didn't put out a CD. We got to play a lot of shows. It was a good time. I think, and I kind of like the rest of the guys, I don't want to piss anybody off. I think the most fun and the most creative I always felt was like Crime Scene 13 and Drat.
Yeah.
puddle of maroon. I didn't even see you cry. Well, this night will never do, 'cause it's stuck deep inside.
I think those two bands, I think I felt most creative and probably had the most fun with.
Yeah.
I don't remember like specifics, but like Drat, I'm probably going to jump around a little bit, but like Drat, we got to open up for the Misfits a couple of times. That was fun.
Were you still living in Charlotte at the time with Crime Scene 13 and Drat? I remember Crime Scene 13, and I remember the name
Crime
Drat.
Scene 13 was like 95, 94, 95, I think.
Yeah, I remember that, man.
Went all the way up till like 99. Well, no, I take that back. It was like 2000, maybe 2001.
Mm-hmm.
And then Drat came out, which was like a complete mistake. I got a phone call, and this was back when Tremont was doing tribute nights.
Yeah.
Do you remember those?
I do.
They were like, you guys should do this Misfits night. We're going to do Aqualads was playing. All the bands at that time were basically playing that. Mm-hmm. And we got Andy Cobble.
Yeah.
We got him, John Marlowe.
Mm-hmm.
I think John came in, I think was the last one. He was still in the Hypertonics, Jim Crosland, the Hypertonics. Mm-hmm. Jimmy King from the Aqualads. Yeah. And actually, this was prior to Jimmy joining. Russ played bass. And we got the band going, and we're just going to do a one-off thing. It was just going to be, we're going to play like 8 or 10 songs. We're going to open.
Yeah.
And it'll be a good time. And then it went from playing one night, February of 2002, I think it was, till 2009, maybe early 2010 with Drat. We put out a CD, played a bunch of shows.
I remember seeing the sticker all over the place.
Yeah.
The Sorry Word Drat sticker.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was a good time, man. We had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun with Drat. And I think the coolest part is that nobody put a lot into it. And what I mean by that is that it was just kind of self-motivating.
Yeah.
It was. Everybody was just like, hey, when are we going to play another show? Whenever you guys want to. Everybody was more interested in what the other person wanted to do.
Yeah.
So it was like there was really no stress. We'd get together, practice one weekend, or we'd practice the night before the show, play. But yeah, Crime Scene and Drat were probably two of my more favorite bands that I played with or played in. Almost.
I remember you with Evil Eye. I don't remember you.
I was an Evil Eye.
I didn't remember. I didn't know you were Dominic at the time. I remember the band though.
Evil Eye
I remember seeing Evil Eye several times.
was basically a straight up Misfits tribute band.
Makeup.
Yeah, with makeup, the whole nine.
Oh,
and I'm sure, I'm pretty sure there's probably a bunch. If you look up Evil Eye on Facebook and more than likely YouTube, I'm sure there's stuff on there.
Oh yeah.
It was fun.
So when did you move away from Charlotte and up to that area?
When or why?
Or when? if you want to tell why, you can tell why as well.
I'm sorry. We moved. Myself and my girlfriend Renee, we moved out of Charlotte back in 2000.
Okay.
I think it was August of 2000. And it basically, she had gotten a new job, and it was kind of one of those things where it's just like, well, you can stay here, you can go with me, and I would still come back, and we would do Crime Scene. Unfortunately, that didn't really work very well with the geography change, but I think within like a year, Crime Scene and basically disbanded. Yeah.
And then you kept Drat going after that.
Yeah, Drat. It was like I said. It was funny because everybody else had their own bands. I think Andy was doing his own thing. Jimmy had the Aqualads, or still doing the Aqualads. John had his thing, and it was just like, hey, if you guys aren't busy, let's do Drat. Be fun. It completely was a good time. Probably had a little bit too much fun there at times.
Yeah. So what was the first band that you had once you moved up to that area?
When I moved up here, it was kind of hard finding I figured I'd at least, put the feelers out and see if anybody wanted to either put together a band or play in a band. And it seemed like everybody was looking for a bass player, so I bought a bass rig and started playing an Evil Eye, as a matter of fact. Mm-hmm. And that was fun because it was just like, hey, we can put on skull face paint and around like idiots and have a good time. And it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So was there anything else after that before Blood Red River, or was that the next thing that you did?
The last thing that I had done before Blood Red River was the Mercators. Mercators, I think I'm pretty sure there's still a Facebook page for the Mercators. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of, I always thought the band sounded kind of Dinosaur Jr.-ish. Okay. Which I love Dinosaur Jr. Yeah. I think Bug's a great record. Oh, yeah, but I had done that probably for about a year, and that band kind of dissolved, and Alan and I worked together, and they were in between guitar players, and he was like, hey, if you want, you can play with us. And I was like, yeah, sure, that sounds great, It's, actually, I had another band, Suki T. My brain is like all over the place, so sorry about that, Mike.
Yeah, because we played several shows with
we
Suki
did.
T.
Yeah. And Suki T was a good time. And I think I've got music by Suki T, Mercators, and all that stuff. Like I said, I'm jumping all over the place. My memory is just not...
Oh, trust me, I understand.
I'll get bits and pieces, like probably about 3 hours from now, I'll probably be like, oh man, I forgot so-and-such.
Yeah. Know very well how that goes.
Yeah, man.
So let's talk a little bit more about Blood Red River. Who does most of the songwriting? Do you write songs together, take turns writing songs? Is it whoever brings an idea to the table?
We write the music. The music comes usually, somebody will write a riff or something, we'll jam it at practice. Yeah. And if it works out, it works out. Pretty usually writes the lyrics.
Yeah, that can be really easy and really hard.
Yeah.
There's times where I can write a song in a day, and then there's times where 3 months later there's still a chunk of lyrics that I'm trying to figure out how to write.
Yeah.
So it's weird. It's a weird process.
I don't write lyrics. I can't. It's over my head.
Yeah. I usually come up with like a theme or a story that I want to talk about, and then I can put that to paper, and that usually works. Sometimes, like I said, it works out really fast. Like I can just come up with something in no time. And then there's like times where like I can't seem to get the words that I want to fit in one area of verse or something like that, and it just takes me months and months to finally write something down.
Yeah.
Or something I feel comfortable singing or writing or fitting in that space that I think fits well. So yeah, it's a weird process.
I hate writing lyrics, which is why I don't do it too often. But
mine is terrible.
Coming up with the stories is great. I like coming up with concepts for a song, or like I want this song to be about this story, or I want this song to be about this concept. But then having to reach into my brain and pull those words out and put them on paper and make them somewhat rhyme and fit in a certain amount of lines, that's where the hard part comes in.
Mm-hmm.
I can't figure. I could write lyrics and then put music to the lyrics, but they all sound the same.
Yeah.
I can write music. Me and Brad, we can both write music like right off the cuff. Mm-hmm. But lyrics, I'm not so much on lyrics.
Yeah, that's terrible. Mine turns into I was in my car at the bar. It was far. You know, that kind of stupid stuff.
I was on a bike. I saw Mike.
He was on a track.
Yeah.
We're gonna start another band.
Just instruction manual.
I want to hear this band.
The recipes.
That's great.
Yeah, I always say that I wish we were a little bit better at our instruments so we could just be an instrumental band. But we have to write lyrics because we're not good enough to be
It's
an
hard
instrumental
to
band.
instrumentally. You think it's
Yeah,
easy, but
It really is.
But it's a difference making something that sounds like an instrumental song and making something that sounds just like a song that needs some lyrics.
Yeah.
So you guys started as mostly an instrumental band, though, right?
It was because
Like one show.
maybe a couple shows. Like we started a 3-piece, and I kind of wanted to make it not be me just up front as a singer.
Yeah.
I wanted to be more focused on.
But first we had a dedicated singer.
Yeah, and then they dropped, so I kind of became the default singer after that. So I wasn't really like forward in my mind because I'd enjoyed being just a bass player and backing vocals. I enjoyed that, not having that responsibility of having to write lyrics and sing. And I enjoyed that for a while. And then it just took me a while to fill into that role and be the person that sings and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
Never really intended to be a strictly instrumental band, but like doing surfy type stuff too, which is mostly instrumental, so you can get away with either.
Yeah.
yeah, the genre we were kind of going that kind of mashup genre of like surf, garage, psych, rock, stuff like that. There's a lot of instrumental stuff in there. So, and we wanted to do that kind of stuff, so it kind of fell into being instrumental.
Yeah. So you call yourselves like action adventure music or something like that.
It's
But I
supposed to be
think
fun action adventure.
I think you just kind of described what that sounds like. Is that surf, psych,
Desert surf.
Desert surf.
Desert surf. Pulp Fiction,
Yeah.
Quentin Tarantino
Yeah.
type.
Yeah.
Very much soundtrack music,
Right.
like fun soundtrack music. Like you hear a song and you're like, it reminds you of this movie or that movie or something that could be put in the background of a movie.
Action adventure movies.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Well, it's like I know one of your influences is Flat Duo Jets, and I've always felt like their music would be like perfect in a Quentin Tarantino movie.
Yeah, exactly. We've been pretty lucky to play with Dexter a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I once I heard Dexter play, I fell into being a huge Dexter fan. It's weird. Like I've always wanted to like have full conversations with him when I live in Chapel Hill. You see him buying toilet paper at Harris Teeter, and you don't want to like walk up to him and be like, "Man, I love your music," while he's like trying to get toilet paper. So it's like you have to kind of like wait for your time. And luckily, I got to talk to him a couple times since we played shows with him. But yeah, that was a goal for me, was to be able to actually play with him, because I've been a big Flat Duo Jets fan for many years.
I always thought his sister was the best drummer ever.
Yeah, she really was.
She's excellent.
Her band, you just go to see watch her play.
Yeah. So that was one of the last shows that we played before this one. We played with Dexter at a festival like up in Siler City. It was kind of neat because I got to play drums on one or two songs at the end of it. You guys,
I got video of it.
Yeah, so that was kind of fun to do. Of course, I ain't nowhere near what she could do, but it was still special to me, and it was a lot of fun to do.
I'm still not sure he knows we exist.
Right, I'm not sure either, to be honest. I mean,
Yeah, I think I've probably introduced myself to him 5 times.
at least, yeah.
That's great. Let me borrow a cable.
While my lover, there's no woman in the heart. They smell it, oh yeah. While my lover, baby, it was you. While my lover, there's no woman in the heart.
You guys cover or play with, it is a cover, but it's not a Flat Duo Jets cover, Wild Wild Lover. But
Yeah.
Flat Duo Jets also cover that song. Was there any trepidation about doing that, considering none of the Flat Duo Jets had done it?
Well, last time we
He
played,
does. I have no problem with it. He's the one that's weird about doing it. The way that we do it, I feel like is more of a mix of Benny Joy's original version and Flat Duo Jets.
we do more than Flat Dude. We lean heavily towards the first one.
I feel like we're a good mix in between both. But it's also we do it because it's kind of a
Fast and Furious.
well, it's not. I know it's a homage, but it's a dedication to Flat Duo Jets. Like that, it shows that this was one of our influences.
That's where we learned the song from, even though it wasn't their song.
Exactly.
And we played the show with him and played that song.
I asked the first time
he
we did. I asked
he hasn't said
if
anything
it was
about it.
okay if we did, because I didn't know if he was going to do it. I didn't want to do the song, but he was going to do it.
Yeah.
And he said, "Fine, whatever." I don't
Now
think
we
he
actually
understood what I was saying.
we won't be doing it this year because there won't be any Christmas show. But usually around this time, around December, when we play a Christmas show, we do our own version of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer in the style of Dexter Romweber, and I sing like Dexter Romweber.
It's pretty cool.
It's very cool, actually. It's very cool.
It's very slow and moody and very Dexter Romweber.
Tragic.
Yeah. But people always get a kick out of that, and they enjoy that. And I like doing my little Dexter impersonation.
Yeah. I think we've done it with him too, and he didn't say anything.
I don't know. I can't remember.
I don't know that he maybe knew that it was. I don't think he quite figured out that it was what that was. But
He's going to buff and headbutt you one time, then you'll be sorry.
So I first became aware of you guys when I started doing my live streams earlier this year, or maybe it was even before that when I was just putting together my radio episodes. I was on Reverb Nation just kind of searching different areas like Charlotte, Durham, Chapel Hill, wherever I could search, just trying to find bands I'd never heard of before. And you guys came up, and I listened. I was like, "Oh, this is bad as hell." And I think I played Monkey Paw first time I played.
Oh, yeah.
I saw you guys. But and then when I interviewed Tiff Tantrum, she mentioned you guys, said that she had played shows with you guys before.
Yeah.
Cool.
So,
Oh, yeah.
So talk a little bit about like the Raleigh scene, the bands that you guys play with. Like maybe not necessarily the whole 15 years you guys have been together, but if you want to talk about like what's currently going on, or
Right now
It's
it's
trickier as the time goes on.
Yeah,
It really is.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about we consider we've only played 1 to 2 shows this year,
Yeah.
and usually we usually try to play at least 1 show a month.
Right.
At least.
Yeah, it's been a little tricky. I guess the last one would have been In the Whale and the Yawpers. That was at 506. That was a pretty good one.
We were supposed to play that show with the Aqualad.
Yeah, we're
Yep,
supposed to play Charlotte.
When this whole thing basically was...
Yeah, we had about 3 or 4 shows lined up
Yeah.
before COVID hit, and it was kind of spread out. We were supposed to play with the Playboys and the Clones, I think it was, down in Wilmington at Reggie's.
Yeah, Reggie's, yeah.
We were going to play with the Aqualads and Charlotte. We had this rally thing going on at the Cat's Cradle.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. So, I'm trying to think of who else.
We used to play with bands from our little, what do you call
Circle.
it? Family scene or whatever.
Yeah, there was a woman who helped us out a lot named Kim Gray, and she had a label that she started called Misbehaved Records. And she was kind of like our den mother for a while. And so all the bands that she got together to play together, we would play with them. Tiff was one of those bands.
But then before that, it was like Dirty Politicians and the Lounge, people like that we'd always play with.
Yeah.
But as those bands started,
Disappearing.
just fading out.
Disbanding or...
Then it would,
So like we played with what was Tiff's
Touring band.
What was Tiff's band that was up here? What we played with all the time?
Princess and the Criminals.
Princess and Criminals was Tiff's band that we played with a lot. And then even like we one of our guitar players, Jared, like he was in a band called the Home Wreckers.
Oh yeah.
And that's how once they split up, he started playing with us, and it all kind of came from that Misbehavior family. And then slowly, as time went by, those bands started to fade away. And then we played things. We played Elvis Fest, which was always happening in Chapel Hill.
Yeah.
And we got to be good friends with some of the bands like the Belmont Playboys, Phantom Playboys, and other bands like that, like Reverend D. Ray and the Shockers when they used to be around from Virginia.
Yeah.
And that was really good because that was bands from all over, like the East Coast and area that would come to this one place, and we got to be friends with them. So we would go up, like we did a couple of shows up in Virginia and D.C. with Reverend D. Ray. We've gotten to go down to Wilmington with the Phantom Playboys and things like that. Beaufort and play with Phantom Playboys and things like that. And that was a very good festival for connections and finding bands that were similar to us to play with. And then sadly, that kind of has fallen to the wayside. And there's still Heavy Rebel, but I don't even think there was a Heavy Rebel this year.
Yeah, it was online, I believe it was, because we got some buddies in a band called the Menders, and they play that like just about every year, and they recorded their thing for Heavy Rebel at the Milestone.
Okay, yeah. So it's just been so now a lot of times it's like we'll go to local shows and see bands and local bands that we wind up liking, and then we just ask them to play on shows with us. We've been very fortunate that we don't suck too terribly bad that I can pretty much phone up and email any venue.
We've been playing around long enough that they know who we are. It's not like
and they're also they know that we're a respectable band. We care about the clubs, we care about the scene, we care about the places we play at. So it's pretty easy for me to email or message somebody at one of the clubs in the area and be like, hey, can we book a show on this date? And then be able to put a show together from there and kind of like be able to pick who we want to play with. And also we've been lucky enough where those venues have reached out to us and be like, hey, we got this band coming into town. Would you like to open for them? We think you would be a good fit. So we've been very fortunate and lucky with that. And that's pretty much what's been keeping us rolling for the time that we've been doing it. So
we're very much a live band. It's the recording is nice, but it's a Blood Red River show when you see it live is something worth seeing. I think it is anyway.
It's nice because of what we play and what we do too, and the show that we put on, we can span across a lot of different, like I said, different genres, but also different age ranges.
Yeah.
We have a couple that's retired in their 60s. They always come see us play and dance, and they dance at every show. And we have younger people who are just starting to go to shows. Who'll see us at the Cave and think we're the best thing they've seen. And they'll start coming to our shows as well. That's kind of what we go for, is to get everybody dancing and having a good time. We don't have anybody here right now, but we usually have a go-go dancer on stage with us, and and that helps with the show. And
strong
that also,
visual.
Strong visual.
Shocking off.
But it's also having someone on stage dancing with us makes people feel more comfortable about getting into the music and dancing as well.
Yeah.
And that kind of starts kind of like an infectious groove across the crowd to get everybody starts dancing and having a good time. And that's what we thrive on. That's what I thrive on, definitely, is the way people react to us. And if they're dancing and having a good time, it gives me the energy to be even more out there and flail around more and, get everybody going and having a good time. That's the main reason why I do it.
Yeah. So, I got to second that, because if the crowd's into it, it makes it 100 million times better.
And sometimes when we don't have a go-go dancer, we'll put the box on the stage anyway and have go-go karaoke. And if the crowd's into it, people in the crowd will get up and go for a song or two, which is awesome.
Yeah, we had some pretty successful times doing that. We did almost like a Christmas show where we did that, and I bought presents from the dollar store. And every time somebody came up and danced in the box, we let them have a little present for dancing.
We've done presents, corn, and
we done give drink tickets and all kinds of fun stuff. So that can be fun too. Toothpaste, give out free toothpaste. Everybody dances with us. We always come up with something so where people are where we can interact with the audience and they can interact with us, and we all have a good time together. So
that's why I say it's best live.
Yeah. That's what I love, playing live more than anything. And when the crowd gets into it, it really does. You can feed off the crowd. We're going to play and we're going to put on the show, even if people are standing around with their hands in their pockets. But if people are dancing, it makes a show that much more fun. And they don't even have to be maybe 5 people in the room. But if they're dancing, it's just better than if there's 30 people in the room with their hands in their pockets.
Yeah, exactly.
rip off. I've got a buddy that has a podcast, and he always asks about what your definition of success is. And I don't want to kind of ask that question, but we did talk a little while ago, or you mentioned, I think you said, it depends on what your definition of success is.
Yep.
But so far, what's been like the biggest accomplishment that you guys have had? Is there been a show that you played that you just thought was great? Somebody that you played with that was like awesome to open up for, or what would you think? So I guess collectively as a group or individually, it doesn't matter because everybody might have a different idea of that.
That was cool.
Being able to play with Agent Orange was really cool. That was 45 Grave. Being able to open for a band like that I always enjoyed in high school and used to listen to when I would work third shift at Kinko's over and over again. Like being able to have that as the band that I opened for at my first show was a good Kickstarter for us playing as a band.
That's a good thing when you can open and play with bands that you always liked.
Yeah.
When you were a kid and you get to meet them. And when I was playing with the Antagonizers, we did a lot of that. I'd get to play with everybody who was everybody, but we do it too.
I know it's kind of taboo now, but opening for Unknown Henson was cool.
Yeah.
We played with him years ago.
Pre-controversy?
Pre-controversy, yeah. Played with him. And that was a really great show, and that was one of our earlier shows too.
My mom came to that show.
And we were scheduled to play with him again on St. Patrick's Day.
A glitch.
And a glitch in the system caused that not to happen.
Yeah.
But to know that we made a good enough impression in that show that he wanted us to open for him again, that was pretty cool. Like I said, this is pre-controversial Unknown Henson, but I think for me, I have certain goals that I'd like to accomplish as I'm playing in a band, and most of those goals have been accomplished with this band. I think once we get the EP out, that's like kind of my final achievement. Once I can actually have a pressed physical copy of a CD of stuff that I recorded on to be able to save, even no matter where things go down the road, down the years, I have this, this time capsule of this band that I spent a long time of my life playing and enjoying. I'll always have that, no matter what. That to me is successful to me. Other than that, I want to play shows as much as possible. That's pretty. I'm not looking to be on TV. I'm not looking to tour. Tour maybe would be fun. I don't know with all of our lives where they are now.
Yeah.
Something like that. You never know. But for me, like as long as I'm playing shows, and that people are still wanting us to play shows and hear our music and dance to our music. To me, that's success for me.
Oh yeah.
I'll keep doing it as long as possible.
Yeah.
So
I'm real big on documenting stuff. So yeah, getting it on CD and having the physical copy out there that will be there forever.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. Any plans or any thoughts on doing vinyl at any point, or is that? I mean, I know it's expensive.
I do like a vinyl,
And the reason why we recorded 6 songs was in case we decided to press on vinyl, we could do like a 10-inch with 3 songs on one side, 3 songs on the other. That was kind of our intention on recording 6 songs and doing an EP. And then even the EP, like I came up with a joke name for the EP because we've been a band for 15 years and never put out an official CD. Yeah. So we're going to call the EP Too Little Too Late. So we're a little too late, so kind of a joke there.
But you've got music out there online that people can listen to.
Oh yeah, we have stuff like live shows and things we've done all over the place.
And there's Reverb Nation still up there. Do you guys have anything on Bandcamp or not yet?
We just have one song.
I think there's a Bandcamp. I haven't seen it myself, but
it's only the one song.
We have one song. Okay. That's it. That if you want to buy it, go ahead. If not, it's the one song.
Yeah. This may actually end up on Bandcamp.
Yeah, this might wind up. Once we get this printed, pressed, and we have the download codes and all that stuff, we might be able to put that for online purchase as well.
And you can sell the CD through Bandcamp as well. So they can sell the physical CD there as well. But is it bloodredriver.bandcamp.com?
I believe so. I'll look and make sure that's correct. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah,
I think I just shared the link with somebody on Facebook.
That's what I was like. I didn't know we had a Bandcamp.
Yeah, it's just bloodredriver.bandcamp.com, and it'll pop up.
I figured that was a pretty unique name. Some people have like whatever their name is, one or the real blah blah blah. So I figured, I didn't think anybody else had the name Blood Red River out there.
There's another band. I found them on Facebook. They're like a metal band from someplace, Michigan or something.
Really? I thought.
Yeah, but they had like they have updated their thing in like 8 years or something.
Yeah, that's kind of one of
We
the
were there
funny
first.
things is when people say, "Oh, you're in a band. What's the name of your band?" and you say Blood Red River, you kind of have to feel like we're not a metal band.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
So since we're talking about the name, where did the name come from? Is there any meaning behind it, or who came up with it?
It came from a band. There was a band from Australia called the Scientists in the early '80s.
Mhm.
And they're still playing.
Yeah.
They rebooted and all that, and they're kind of
Last year, right?
No, like,
yeah. And they had a song called Blood. They have a short record EP. I guess you call it. And it was called Blood Red River. And ever since then, I got that in 1985, 86.
Mhm.
And ever since then, I'm like, oh, that's the band name right there. So I started doing like instrumental demos on a 4-track recorder and all that, and I called it Blood Red River and all that. When I met the guy from that band, I don't know, early 90s, when he came over here with another band, I said, I named my band after your thing. And he said, oh, that's crazy. I got that from something else. So I did the research on that, and it turns out, here's what it turns out. There was a guy from Mebane, North Carolina.
Of all
I
places.
can't think of his name. Josh White, his name was Josh. And he had a song called Blood Red River Blues. So Mebane, which is like 8 minutes from my house,
Right.
the guy from Australia got the name from him, and then I got the name from the dude from Australia.
That's
And
nuts.
there it is. See, originally a lot of stuff I was doing with the Blood Red River name kind of was scientisty, kind of
Okay.
garagey. They're kind of droney. It's really good. If you haven't, check it out. So I thought that would always be a good name.
they have a really popular song called "We Had Love" that's been in soundtracks and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, I think part of the EP too will eventually make its way onto Spotify and
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully.
and all of that.
It's
I think we're just waiting to actually probably try to have the CD release party in February.
Yeah.
When we can, we start playing shows again.
Yeah, we're probably going to do local 506. February 27th will be the 15th anniversary of our first show
Okay.
that we played at 506. So I've already been talking with them about doing a show there. Even if we can't play a live show, we have to do a streaming show. We'll still probably do that as our marker for the EP release, hopefully.
Yeah, we released an EP earlier this year, and we had a show set up at Repo Record in Charlotte for our EP release, but it was April 11th, so of course that ended up getting canceled. So instead, what I did is I just I did a live stream on Facebook and played it a couple of times and just talked about it a little bit before and between, and that's how we did it. And just it came on. We sold it on cassette. We did some pre-orders. I shipped those out, and then we put it out on Spotify and everywhere else. So Spotify is kind of one of those money-losing situations, but at least makes it easy for people to listen to you.
I've still been hesitant about it. Like, I'll probably get on it in December, but because I've listened to a lot of podcasts, and they're all moving to Spotify, so.
Yeah.
I got it. I pay for it. It's one of those things where, like, at first you're like, I don't know if I want to pay for this. Then you do, and I've heard that it's not very good for the musicians or whatever, but you want to listen to any record that's ever been made in history.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
pretty
not
much.
where it's going. I mean, the musicians really, they don't make a lot of money on
No.
it, but they make more off of it if you subscribe, obviously, to Spotify. I mean,
Which I do.
yeah, what you do and I do. I subscribe to it. I pay the money, and I like to think, even though it's not that much. I mean, it's just where the industry has gone, and I don't think there's a whole lot you can really do about it.
Yeah, unfortunately.
It's just the nature of the time that we're in, and there's really not much you can do about it.
That's why concerts cost $115.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's how you remake your money now.
Nobody's
You make your
selling
money at
records.
shows and merch and things like that. So it's not really CD sales anymore. It's just merch and playing shows. So
Yeah. Yeah, because even with CDs, it's like you can sell a T-shirt easier than you can a CD these days.
all day long, or a hat, or
That's why we're in
a
that
thong.
weird. We're in that weird spot, like in that era where, like, how do you release anything? Because every physical media is obsolete,
Pretty much.
and any other thing, digital media is. Well, I'm older, so it's mysterious to me. I don't know how it works.
Yeah, I think you have to get past the idea of, back in the day. I mean,
Yeah.
you would release a CD, and that's how you would get. You just have to resolve the fact that you're not going to make your money off of a CD.
Yeah.
You're just not going to make any money off of it. You're just not. And so the idea is just to get it out and have as many people listen to it as you can, and then they come to shows.
I would rather have them listen to it.
Do the shows, and for the most part, I think most people would rather have a mass amount of people listen to your music than buy the CD. It's kind of the trade-off. Again, that's just where it's at, and it's not going to change anytime soon that I can see. And
If I wrote a book, I'd rather have 1 million people read the book than 100 people buy the book.
Well, sure.
Yeah, exactly. I've always said
It's
I'd rather have people listen to my music and give it away than to try to sell it and only have like 10 people want to hear it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But when you're into like punk rock or the fringe music or whatever, you kind of get that idea of that the money's not the most important thing anyway.
Exactly.
Right. No. It's really not.
Yeah. For me, it's just to get.
You didn't got no choice. Where's the choice?
Yeah, for me, putting out the CD is more, like I said, about having something that I can keep throughout the years, and then also getting it out there where we get more people at shows is basically the main reason why I just wanted to do this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So as long as we get more people at shows, that's what I care mostly about.
Because that's when I have the most fun, is when people are out at shows having a good time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I'm hoping that pretty soon we can do that again, but we'll see.
Yeah,
I don't expect it until sometime early next year, but
It'll work. It'll work.
It's hopefully sooner than later. I mean, I guess in my mind, I'm thinking that sometime, hopefully spring or summer of next year, maybe it'll kind of loosen up a little bit. At least here. I mean, I guess depending on where you're at, it could loosen up sooner or later. So.
But when it does, it'll have good attendance. People will be ready.
Yeah, that's with our Halloween show, we were surprised how many people were there, and people were, like I said, they were very respectful about how they space themselves out, and I think people are going to be more respectful with shows coming up once we are allowed to have shows, because they want to be able to keep seeing shows and want to be able to keep these venues open and have them be able to see live music. I think it's hopefully going to be more positive than negative as far as like opening venues again.
yeah, I hope so. And I keep saying that, and every single guest I have says the same thing. I hope on the other side of this, people are more appreciative of it. People are more hungry for it. And I really do. I hope that some of these people that couldn't be bothered to get off the couch last year will get up off the couch next year and go see a show.
Yeah. It's like forced evolutionary virus. It's like everything has to change now, whether you want it to or not. You see where it ends up. Hopefully it'll be good.
So let's talk a little bit more about the EP. Where did you guys record the EP? Did you record it yourselves, or did you go into a studio?
There's a guy named Scotty Sandwich. He has a recording studio, and we were one of the last bands to record at his last studio before he moved his new studio. Mm-hmm. Where's his new studio?
In Oxford.
In Oxford. Okay.
It's called the Sandwich Shop.
It's cool too.
The Sandwich Shop.
It's multi-room.
Yeah.
You should check out his band as well. They're really good.
Who's that? What's the name of the band?
Almost People.
Almost People. Yeah, I've heard that name.
The sounds combining will serve as a silver lining, and those nights kept close to you will slowly but surely save your life. I'm bored with booze and cigarettes, but I recall some days when that was not the case.
But yeah, we recorded. It took us 2 days to record the 6 songs. So
We go faster than we think we're going to go.
yeah.
That's what we go in and we try to knock it out. We recorded 6 in one day the last time, and then before that we put out a CD that had 11 tracks, but it's 12 songs. We recorded all those in one day.
Wow.
We did the vocals the next day, but we could have done them the same day if we really wanted to. It was just like, I like to go in there and knock it out. Just play
Yep.
it,
Yeah.
one or two
That makes
takes,
sense.
1 or 2 takes, and move on to the next one.
Everybody's happy if you're ready when you go into it. If you're ready, instead of just screwing around in there.
Yeah. Going to the studio is not the time to write the song. It was like a big one take dates.
I mean, we practice every week, so we pretty much hone our skills as much as we can before we do anything.
And now we focus it too with no shows coming up. Like, what songs are we gonna record? This. We just bang them until we're ready.
Oh yeah. That's all we've been doing. We've got like 5 or 6 we've been working on, and that's, we still play some of our old stuff. We practice, but mostly that's what we do. We run through those twice, and then we pick out 5 or 6 of our old songs. Let's play this one this week, because we don't have any shows to practice for, so it's not like we've got to keep fresh on everything.
Yeah.
And we're doing now. We're practicing. We got a set that's maybe 15 songs or so, which we'll play 10 in the set and get all those. We just been hammering through them because there's no shows. And when we are out, we will have those down, and it'll be even on that recording from the Kraken, it showed that there was not too much seat of the pantry going on. It was pretty tight, I thought.
Yeah. When we first started practicing again, we just sit there for hours, and we played pretty much every single song that we ever played for the most part.
That big old long list on the wall.
Just because part of it, I know for me was just being happy that we were getting out of the house and having practice.
Right. Yeah.
And it's one of the few things that we can do right now that makes us feel normal. I can go practice and it feels like last year again. Yeah. And then when I come, wake up the next day and go to work, I'm back to reality. But for our Sunday night, it's something in our lives that still feels like it's where, normal and back where it was back in the day.
It's good to hammer those things out. Another band that we strongly favor, whether we mean to or not, Southern Culture on the Skids.
Oh, yeah, I love them.
When you see them play, they don't have no warts or honks and squeals.
No.
It's like you're listening to it. It's everything is super crazy tight. It's like, how do you do that? I mean, I couldn't do that even if I knew all the songs. My amp would still make noise, and Crispy said, well, it's because they play 200 dates a year.
Yeah, they're playing all the time.
They got the set down, and it's like, dang, I'm gonna be able to do that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it'd be nice. We talk about that all the time, about how if this was our jobs, and that's what we did every day, we played shows, or on the days that we didn't play a show, we practiced. But we would be nails tight.
Yep. Yeah. And I can't imagine bands right now who do this, who actually do this for a living. Like, I'm not talking about, huge bands like, Rolling Stones or whatever, but like
cover bands, any bands.
Well, I'm talking about bands like the Independents.
Oh yeah.
Out of South Carolina. I mean, they tour nonstop, and that's how they make their living. Yeah. And they're not a huge band. They're well known because they tour all the time. I mean, they're kind of like almost like the Ramones, where they're just constantly playing shows. And for a band like that to not be able to play right now, I felt bad for them struggling, because that's their lifeblood.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's bad enough for us average Joes that play on the weekends but still have a job and everything we go to every day. But guys like that, they've probably had to pick something up in the meantime.
Well, where I work in the vintage department, Greg Hetson worked in the vintage department.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, remember that when we were sending vintage guitars? We work at a guitar store.
Greg Marsh.
And we have to, when something vintage comes in, you have to take pictures of it and send it to L.A.
Yeah.
It turns out one of the guys we were talking to was Greg Hetson from the Circle Jerks in Bad Religion.
Yeah.
He was working at the store in Hollywood. Like, dang, that's pretty cool.
It wasn't very long either, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
The guy from Paul Revere and the Raiders did too.
Yeah, it's got to be crazy. I just can't imagine. Like, I've been lucky that now I just deliver pizza. It's not like I do anything that exciting, but I've been lucky that I've had a job this whole time. But just to imagine, like, having your whole livelihood just yanked out from under you, and then got to scramble and figure out what you're going to do.
Yeah.
So are the songs that you recorded, are they songs you guys have been playing live already, or is there any new stuff that you haven't ever played?
Well, we recorded one that was very recent, one that Brad wrote.
Yeah.
And it was very atmospheric, and I played organ on it. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
But all the other stuff is stuff that we had been playing.
Yeah.
But we'd play live.
Yeah, I think Gone Girl that we sent you, we probably only played that live maybe about 5 times.
Oh yeah, man,
that's fairly new.
That's probably the newest thing on that. And Believe Sunday's probably the newest things on the EP. Werewolf, some of the other songs, like on Werewolf, things like that. There's an older version on Reverb Nation. We re-recorded that. Most of those songs. Well, no, Action Number 9 is a newer song too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so
ETO
3 of each, actually. Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's like 3 newer songs and 3 older songs that we put on the EP. So
cool.
And we hopefully, if we get this EP out and we get all that done, I'd like to go back and do like a kind of like a greatest hits kind of thing where all of our old stuff
Box set.
kind of thing. Because we have things that we recorded that we might have done a couple burn CDs of, but we never officially put out.
Yeah.
And I'd like to get some of those, but some of those things is almost like basically a greatest hits, even though we've never put out a CD, like of a greatest hit CD, and just get all that stuff out there and then move on.
We got a lot of stuff.
I like the box set.
We used to practice in my living room when I lived in Durham, and I would have a recording set up in the living room. So I wasn't in the living room anymore, it was practice space, and I'd just leave all the mics up. Whenever we get something new, I just record it. Like, it was semi-professional sounding.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of stuff for the box set.
Yeah, I'd like to have like a setup like that, so every time we went into practice, we could record. And I really do want to try to start recording some stuff on our own. With this little, I got a Zoom recorder that can do 6 tracks at one time. I think we could probably pull something off with that. But our drummer's a little reluctant of it because he wants everything on his drums to be heard, and he's afraid he's not going to be heard.
Good drum mic setup. You can do that with 3 mics.
You can.
Yeah.
3 mics.
That's true, you can.
And you have to think about some of the best stuff that you listen to from like the 60s and things like that. They didn't have like 50,000 microphones.
One mic mono stuff.
You'd have one mic over a drum set and a kick drum.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. So some of that stuff can be doesn't matter if it's a good song, and if it's a good song, then it's going to be a good song regardless. So it doesn't matter how it's recorded sometimes.
talked about biggest like sort of a success. Is there anything that you regret that you didn't do that you could have done at one point? Like you have
like in life or in the band?
in the band, because life could get real tricky.
That could be a long podcast right there. Things of life. In the band, I don't.
Not really.
I don't think. No, I do say that when we were with Misbehaved Records, I kind of wish that we had gotten the chance to put out either a full-fledged 7-inch or a full-fledged CD when we were on that label, because she was willing to pay for the print and press and things of that nature and help promote. She helped promote us a lot, And I do feel kind of regretful that we should have stepped up and really put out a full CD with her for as much as she did for us. I do kind of feel
get her
that.
paid back for her effort.
Yeah, but that's the only thing I can think of at the moment.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Not really. I mean, everything kind of fell into place as much as I would have expected to. You know, Being as old as I am, and
So, and,
Discussion about who's older, me or you?
you.
Yeah, I think I'm the youngest. I'm the youngest member of the band, and I'm the youngest member, and I'm 42.
Yeah.
So that tells you enough.
so we did kind of touch a little bit on influences, basically through what you sort of describe your music as, and I also mentioned Flat Duo Jets. So what are some of the other influences for the band? I know you got a lot of them. I look on your Facebook page, and
My influences are movies more than music.
okay.
So I'll get more from like Psych Out or Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, which is the best movie ever made, by the way. If you haven't seen that, you need to watch that. It's not, your entire life will be changed. Things like that. Mostly movies from the.
He's serious.
From the
Very serious.
From the mid-late '60s. All the cool stuff, the stuff you have to go look for, not necessarily the stuff that they'll give to you, Easy Rider and all. Even though those are really good, but you know what I'm saying, like the cool stuff that you have to go looking for.
You can't just turn a TV on and it's playing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But like music-wise, I would say for us, the Mummies and
the
Cramps.
Murder City Devils.
Yeah, Cramp Mercy Devils.
Asian War.
Guitar player-wise, I would if somebody were to call and say, "You want to be in my band?" I'd play in Chris Isaac's band. That'd be that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I would do that.
But other than that, I mean, there's so many to name that you can't really sit. Influence-wise, I know Chris gets more into kind of the modern garage bands, the garage rock bands, and my thing is more the old ones, the '60s ones.
Yeah.
So you put them together, and we get both of the influences, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. And that's what, like, your music does kind of straddle that line of being like modern and very vintage at the same time. Or
Yeah. Well, a lot of the modern ones weren't alive for the original ones.
yeah.
You'll get this with like stoner rock bands too, where you're hearing a vision of like a little kid's vision of what was really going on, you know.
Yeah.
So you'll hear a lot of they'll be completely different. So back in the old days, there wasn't a lot of horror-y lyrics, and everybody wanted to be the Beatles, I guess, but they couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Like Ramones, what you want to do and what comes out is completely different. A lot of times people like what comes out instead of what you really have in mind.
That is true.
Whereas the newer ones have more variety. They have a lot more influences, you know.
Yeah.
So it's a good mix.
Like Joey Ramone wanted to be pretty much like a Phil Spector band.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that's what they. But instead, you got one of the best punk rock bands that ever come out. So.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. This has been a Gabba Gabba Hunt media production. One time, Flat Duo Jets played up in Boone, and I had some friends that lived up there, and they're the ones that like set the show up. So he stayed with my friends, and we went up there and hung out. And like Crow was super cool. He was talking to us, hanging out. We were smoking joints together. Dexter was off like walking around talking to himself, and he's on his own little plane there for sure. So I've had some people suggest I get him on the podcast, and I'd love to, but man, I'm a little nervous about doing that one for sure. And we kind of left him alone that day. We were just like, we were hanging out with Crow, having a good time. And we found out when he's walking around talking to himself, he was working on lyrics for a song. It's like, oh, okay. Just, you know. But, you know.
I think his brain is always turning in something in that kind of mode, you know. It's that kind of genius kind of thing.
True.
And unrecognized. Well, he's a recognized genius. He just doesn't get quite the appreciation he deserves. At least the notoriety he should have. I'd say.
Yeah.
No, absolutely right. Yeah.
But at least people like Jack White do give him credit, because you know, I don't think Jack White would be Jack White without Dexter.
Yeah, and I think I was really impressed with the documentary he did with the Edge and
Jack White.
It's gonna get loud or something.
Yeah, it might get loud. Yeah, the documentary, and when he actually calls out, like doing Jets puts on record, I'm like, that's awesome that he did that, because you know that he was upfront about his roots and who he admired, and being able to give a shout out to a local North Carolina artist was pretty awesome. I thought.